Hey, I'm Dr. Andy with Twin Cities Movement, and I'm here with ERN of ERN Strength, is it?
Yes, sir.
We are exploring Twin Cities Movement's favorite tool this month, and that is the kettlebell. We like to use it quite a bit, so we wanted to talk to some of the local trainers in the area and see how they utilize this. Most of the trainers in the area are not exclusively kettlebell trainers, but I know ERN uses it pretty extensively, and I wanted to explore his knowledge of that. So why don't you start with your background a little bit?
Sure. I started personal training in 2011. Before that, I was coaching soccer for a few years at the high school level. I got to personal training after doing several different jobs, trying out different fields, nonprofit and such. And I found it to be a field where I can combine my creativity, analytical approach, as well as helping people directly.
Awesome.
And when I started personal training, my first certificate was NASM, which is a very common starting point. But soon thereafter, I got introduced to kettlebell in the kettlebell world, which then was just blowing up and was all the rage. And that led me to study a lot more about kettlebell training, strength training, movement training, and then having worked with different instructors and practitioners, I also delved further into more neurological approach to movement, developmental stages, and such.
Okay. What's your background with kettlebells? Like, how did you have like a strong first certification or something?
When I started in 2011, there was still the RKC. It was around, so I kind of witnessed the shift. My education comes from Strong First.
Sure.
I've had the pleasure to work with a lot of Strong First instructors, also a lot of FMS instructors, and at those times, those were quite well related, and they still work closely together. So Strong First is my formal background, but I've also worked with other practitioners who use the kettlebells in different methods, and if it's something that I find value in, I'll pick it up regardless of where it comes from.
Okay. So how about the neurological approach that you were talking about, the developmental stuff? Where's your background there, and how do you like to play with that?
Sure. That started probably with functional movement and functional movement systems. So when I was a trainer, what I realized early on in training is that people didn't really lack just strength or fitness. They lacked certain abilities to move well. And the moving well piece was often the first stone that sort of held them back, that they had to figure out how to get over. I didn't find that regular strength training or regular strength and conditioning programs answered it well, because there was this question of how do we improve mobility, how do we improve structure. When I found functional movement, it spoke to that issue of, hey, there's an issue of quality, here's how we can address it. I studied it, I got the FMS level 1, and I worked with different FMS instructors as well. As I was practicing that more, I also had the ability to learn other methods and attend different workshops and seminars. And I started to realize that there are a lot of organizations and individuals that want to sort of reset the natural human ability of moving well, which in general I think would include, can you stand up from the ground and can you walk? I think those are two basics that as individuals our lives are, two things we all want to be able to do well. And I also started to learn that their approach really wasn't one that they made up because they were so genius, although all of them are. They simply looked at nature and said, here's what happens in infancy. Guess what? If you do the same thing over again, you often clean up the slate and you can really build from there.
Yeah, we're very steeped in the SFMA and the FMS as well, in addition to dynamic neuromuscular stabilization. So we use similar concepts quite frequently in our office. So you know exactly what you're talking about. So what sort of goals do your clients tend to come with you?
They often come with fitness or strength goals in mind, and sometimes that evolves into something a little different, but we often reach those goals. Many of the people that I've worked with want efficient and effective training programs. And they also want to overcome a hurdle that they've usually been struggling with for a while. Often they don't know why they are struggling with it, because sometimes the quick answer they get is, well, that's just what it is. You're this age, you're this height,
you got a bad hip.
Exactly. Like just get used to it. Like, live with it. And so they might come in with certain goals of their own. They know they want to move better. They know they want to be stronger. That's in general the common denominator that I see between everybody.
Okay.
And then we take that and we specify and say, well, that's all possible, but you might not realize that it might require some education in different areas of movement,
Right.
training, and exposure to different arts as well.
Sure. More of one activity, less of another activity,
Sure.
that kind of a thing.
Right,
Tends to be
balance
something
it out.
that we see pretty often with runners. A lot of
Mhm.
times they're cyclists. We see very much of those. So.
Exactly.
What sort of movement do you like to explore yourself?
Personally, at this stage in life, I'm getting into martial arts,
Okay.
which is relatively late. I think most people that are exposed to martial arts, it's very young on,
Yeah.
children and teenagers. So I started that in my mid-30s.
Sure.
But on the other hand, that's been a really, really fun approach, especially with what I've been doing for the last almost decade.
Yeah.
Because now I look at the arts, not in a way, not just from an outside, like, oh, this is what the art is,
Uh-huh.
but I also question, well, why was it designed this way?
Right.
Why is it taught this way?
It's very fascinating.
And on the other hand, I've just exposed to so much great knowledge of factors in training that we don't usually talk about in strength,
Mhm.
talk about even like in the rehabilitation world. And often it's timing and coordination and rhythm and patterns.
Nice.
And that has been very enlightening for me personally.
Okay.
It's helped me actually recover a lot of movement that I've been struggling to get due to prior injuries myself.
Oh, very nice.
So it's been a great personal exposure.
Very cool. What sort of martial arts are you into?
There's several of them. I go to Minneapolis Kali group
Oh, sure.
in South Minneapolis.
Okay.
And they have a mixture of Filipino, Indonesian, and
That's
other
Salat,
martial arts.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
So Salat is very interesting to me.
Mhm.
I'm a geek about Salat
It's a
because
lot
I
of
got
fun.
into the groundwork aspect from the training world, which
Okay.
was again rehabilitational
Yep.
and very much like here's the systems of. It's very medical and scientific.
Uh-huh.
And then Salat is much more playful.
Yeah.
But you find that the same patterns are present.
Yes.
So I get to rediscover now what people have done before is already the same, but just in a different context.
Mhm.
And it's just a beautiful experience.
Absolutely.
The other one is Kali, stick work.
Yep.
I find just amazing.
Yeah.
So for example, I've been to a Z Health course lately, and Z Health, I'm sure you're familiar,
Yep.
it's very brain-based.
Yeah.
And I like it.
Yeah.
Because it's something that I've learned a while ago, that strength is brain-based.
Yes.
It might look good on the outside, but
Right.
it starts on the inside.
Uh,
So arts like Kali, you really have to work the brain. It's not that physically demanding. The sticks
Mhm.
up, they don't even pound each.
Right.
And you're mostly just walking, but coordinating the limbs can be such a fun challenge.
yeah. Absolutely.
And on the other hand, I've found it has a great carryover
Mhm.
because what it does for the brain's capacity to process sensory information,
Mhm.
it's just amazing.
Awesome. Awesome. So, what other implements do you like to use with your
Besides the
clients?
kettlebell?
Yeah.
The ground is one of my favorite
Okay.
tools. I think we talk about the ground a lot now.
Yeah.
It's become it's become popular.
Sure.
But I think in a general population, we don't appreciate the earth and the
Mhm.
ground for what it is
Right.
in terms of how much we can do
hmm
and just how fun it can be.
It provides a lot of feedback. I mean,
It
you,
provides a lot of it. It provides all the strength to really have
Yeah.
on this planet,
absolutely.
as long as gravity is what it is.
Absolutely.
But also, I do have other tools I like to use. I like Indian clubs.
Okay.
I find those are great for getting more shoulder mobility,
Mhm.
coordination, and
Sure.
endurance. I enjoy suspension training.
Mhm.
I've used that successfully for many years. It's
Yeah.
another great tool that shares much of the benefits of kettlebells. It's
Yeah.
portable, light,
Right.
accessible to a lot of people.
Mhm.
And then definitely the traditional strength implements. I'm not shy about using dumbbells, barbells.
Excellent.
I think building strength is a good thing,
Right.
no matter what tool you use.
Move heavy things around. I think it's really
Yeah,
nice.
as
It
long as
doesn't
you
have
use
to be
it
too
well.
complicated.
Exactly,
Yeah.
it doesn't.
Yeah. So, where can people find out more about you?
You can learn more about me on my website, which is earnstrength.com.
Okay.
Then I'm also active on Instagram and Facebook under the same name, Earn Strength.
Awesome. Well, thank you very, very much. This
Thank
was
you
a very,
very much.
very cool conversation. I really appreciate it. Be sure to follow on Instagram. It's very cool stuff. It's very enlightening stuff. We really enjoy kind of sharing the same sort of community of movement providers and the people who like to be educated by movement providers on the internet and things like that. So, yeah, thank you for watching.
Thank you.